that we are somehow ripping people off is ridiculous. And it requires a statement of credibility, which the WikiLeaks insider does not have. So, you guys have a special role. Each one of you has a set of skills. We have a lot of information. We want your help processing it. We specifically would like people that are good at visualizations, people who maybe are good at banner hangs, people who like to paint pictures. Whatever you want to do, however you want to tell stories, that can be extremely useful to us and to the rest of the world. Everyone will see the visualizations that you have done. Millions of people. You're not going to get a great job out of it. You're going to have to do it in your spare time. You're going to have to get rid of all your spare time, actually. But it will make a huge impact. Because when people interact with complicated data, they have this totally new relationship to that data, right? They have the ability to look at the data and explore the data, and it engages them in a way that previously they just wouldn't have even cared. So this is, I think, extremely, extremely important because it engages. That's something that we really need, is people to be sincerely engaged. So, especially since this is a hacker conference, I think that this is important. If we build systems that are privacy by design instead of privacy by policy, if we build protocols that are extremely difficult to filter, I know that there are people that work on this here, that this is really useful because not every country enjoys the warrantless wiretapping surveillance that we do. Some people enjoy the warrantless wiretapping plus serious oppressive police force kicking down their door in response, instead of just building large dossiers that are used later. So, building protocols that can help avoid people leaving behind a footprint now can make a big difference tomorrow. Because the story that your data trail tells about you might not matter to you now. But when you film someone doing something and then you upload it and the censored data from your camera is used as a weapon against you and it's found by finding photos on Flickr that you took of your family, that's a really serious problem. So we need tools, like for example, to find and fingerprint censored data and to remove it. There's a lot of stuff. Lots of anti-forensic stuff needs to be done to protect whistleblowers. And we need help from that. You should focus your activities there. We can really use that help, and you will make a difference. You personally might save a life. And this is probably the most important part. Every single one of us is a productive member of society at some point in our lives. We get to choose which world that we make. So we get to decide if we go home and work for a military defense contractor, or if we go home and we work on something that shows that some of those people do the right thing and some of them do not. And we refine our society, not by specifically saying that all of those people are bad, but by saying some of these actions are bad. These are the actions that I can support, that I can put my name on, but these ones I don't, because I firmly believe this job is something that needs to be done. So this is something I think that we get to choose. And since we build the systems of tomorrow, we are the ones that get to decide the politics of those systems. The architecture is the political system, right? The internet is so amazing specifically because it is so open and it is so free. So, how many here are upset about our submission system? Some of you? Any of you? One person, fantastic. I hope you aren't a leaker. Keep your hands down. Okay. There's this funny thing that happens. I mean, if WikiLeaks does anything, there are publications that just jump up and down on us, usually because we make them irrelevant, but that said, they get really upset. So, to be clear, sometimes things happen that are not obvious. The security of our systems is more important than fighting a PR war with people that can't bother to ask properly contextualized questions in a reasonable time. So, we have relaunched the submission site. There you go. This has a new SSL certificate, and there is a Tor hidden service. So, for those of you that were worried about submission, those of you that wanted to leak documents, it's back. So everyone should take a photograph of that hidden service URL, and I'll leave it up for a moment. These are the fingerprints. As some of you know, certificate authorities, well, they do a noble job, are part of a system that isn't really sustainable when the threat model might include large governments and large corporations. Sometimes people in different countries end up in situations where they have to use a copy of an operating system where all of the certificate authorities are removed except for one so that they can be man in the middle transparently. This is a very serious issue. So the only way that we can do this is to solve it with key exchange pretty much directly. If you use the submission process, this is the set of fingerprints you should expect to see from now on. And that means that while the certificate authority can give you warm fuzzies, this slide is what will save your ass. So take some photos of it, put it online, tag it, and spread it around. Because someone somewhere is going to need to see that. And that's a way you can make a difference right now. Okay, so we've got a wiki. Some of you have heard about it. We decided to clean out a lot of stuff. Old accounts that are, say, a year old and that aren't being used, old content, silly vandalism from kitties pissing on it. We removed that stuff. And there's a lot of progress on updating the wiki, making it faster, dealing with things that are extremely important is, of course, coming first. But in general, we do try to take care of this, and we do some house cleaning. And we've got some cool stuff coming up. So for example, torrent and magnet links specifically for all of the content. So you don't just have to rely on us. You can toss up a BitTorrent client, and you can pretty much be us. How awesome is that? It also means that we'll have, feel free if you want. It also means that we will have dynamic URL support, but there's a little bit of a problem. We need some people to write some support in some of the clients. So if you work on BitTorrent, here's a great thing that you can do today. We need to make sure that dynamic magnet URLs are working, and they work pretty well. So this is something that will allow you to download on a regular basis, for example, all of the documents containing everything to do with the United States. And then you can do that however you'd like, and then you can mirror that data in case, you know, a rainy day comes. So we've also done a bunch of other things. It's really hard to actually tell what we have done. It helps to have a lot of hackers on board that can obfuscate a little bit of our architecture. But I think it's important to sort of state quite clearly, we have a lot of redundancy involved. And we have a lot of work that has gone into making sure that it's not exactly obvious how it is redundant, so that it makes it a lot harder to attack. And we don't really have to worry about that. We don't see a lot of things that are terribly scary, to be quite honest. The scariest things that we see are usually the content of submissions. And that stuff can be quite scary, and you know, because you've seen that. So there's going to be a period in time when commenting will return, and probably at some point you'll see more enhanced Tor support with the wiki. IRC, there is, of course, a way for you to come and chat directly with people involved with WikiLeaks. There are some privacy protections that are built into this system, and they are pretty simple. So if you're just sitting in there idling, wanting to collect information and logs, it's not really that helpful. We would appreciate it if you don't do that, but in any case, you can see that there are some things that will start to hide a little bit of information at a time. It's not perfect, but we think it's pretty good. It's a little better than just straight up IRC. And we have other user protections so that people can't, say, demask who you are very easily. And of course, we are launching a new web chat interface, which also will be secured, which I think is pretty fantastic. So we've also today, as of, what time is it? I guess it's probably after 1. So there's now a blog. Because we want to be more transparent and open with you guys. We want to make sure that you have questions that are answered, quite frankly. We want to make sure that you understand that we are on your side, right? We don't want to fight. We don't want to have a misinformation campaign going on forever. It takes up our energy and it takes up our time. Very easy. So you don't just have to look at Twitter in order to see this. There'll be a blog which people will write to. Some people won't ever write to it, and they'll just do work behind the scenes. But it's extremely important that we tell you what's going on, because whenever we do anything, when we take down the submission site to make sure that there are some new things that can be launched, we need to make sure that we let you know about it so that it doesn't cause a huge problem in the media where we have to take a lot of time away from doing important work to talk to people that are not going to be very helpful, and in some cases are quite hostile. So we also want to sort of step into Web 2.0. We are going to release an API. So you'll be able to get the data in a more usable way. So you'll be able to do the things that you want with the data. You'll be able to make visualizations. It'll be much, much easier. Okay.